Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have been working on this awesome Bally Lost World pinball machine that we bought in pieces. We had just the body of it. The playfield is in the other room, and the paint was really bad. We didn't have the correct head for it. And in the first video, we pieced this thing back together and put some artwork on it. Took us quite a while to do that. We did a little bit here, a little bit there, but now we have the whole thing together, right? And then in the previous video, we worked on the missing transformer that we were able to cobble back together, get it 100%, test it all out, put it in the machine, and now the machine has power. We turned on the power, and look what happened. The lights came on. You know why? Because the machine wants to come back. It's tired of sitting in somebody's warehouse for years. These things were built to run, baby. They weren't built to sit around, okay? So it's trying to cooperate for us. But here's our next problem. We've got nice side art on it. It's beautiful. It's getting there. This is going to be a great game. But here's our next problem. First of all, this is the wrong light baffle. We'll fix that. Here is our power supply that we made. All the boards are missing. I don't even know for sure how we're going to put since this is the wrong head, this is a head off of a Stern game that we painted and decaled, so it looks like a Lost World game. I don't even know how we're going to hook up the soundboard because it uses its own, connectors. Well, we may have to just add those into the harness, but we'll figure all that out as we get there. Whenever you have a big problem like this, and this thing's a basket case, what you do is you work through it a little bit at a time. So we start at the wall. The power comes in, goes to here, goes to a switch up here, comes back and goes to this. So we got the transformer, everything correct, right? The next thing that it does is it goes up here to a solenoid board, they call it, right? So I've got one of those that's repaired and ready to go that I worked on a little while back. So that one we're not going to have to do much with. I can just pop it right in. But once we do that, we need to check the voltages on it. So let me grab that and mount it in the game, and that'll be one less board we have to mess with. All right, so here's our first board. Like I said, I already had this one, so I'm cheating a little bit on this one, but you've seen us work on these plenty of times. This is the solenoid driver board. So all of these, bottom half of the board basically is responsible for fixing or for making the solenoids work, using signals that the MPU board that'll end up over here sends through these wires to trigger all of those. So that's all of your coils, right? The top half of the board is split in half. This side takes 12 volts and turns it into 5 volts. The 5 volts is then used to run all of the IC chips on this board and then on the other boards too. Okay? And then this part up here takes the high voltage, which is about 240 volts, and turns it into about 190 volts. Regulates it. Now, we usually turn it down a little bit. We want it to be about 180 volts because if you do that, you get a little better life out of the displays. It's kind of a moot point because the displays are going to be LED displays. I know everybody's cheering. Everybody loves the LED displays. They're cool. I don't have a problem with it. So down here on this board, on the bottom, our power supply, our high voltage is 248 volts. So that's getting sent up through this, over to this area, and then it's getting regulated down to 179 volts. Perfect. Now, if we put LEDs in here, though, we're going to remove that fuse to where this whole area doesn't even do anything. So it's not that important. But what is important is this side of the board. This takes the 12 volts and makes 5 volts. So the 12 volts comes in up here on this top test point. It shows you the voltage coming in. It's like 14 volts. It's a little snappy. And then below it is the voltage going out. 5.1 volts. That's perfect. You want it a little bit higher than 5. It's designed that way, just so that if there's resistance in the lines or you've got a bad ground because of rust like that we need to clean up, the board will still get 5 volts, right? If you're down to like 4.8 volts, it'll work, but having 5.1 at the source is really good. So we know this is doing what it's supposed to do, and we know this is doing what it's supposed to do. We don't know about all these yet, but I kind of cheated, like I said, and took this, tested this in another game. So I already know that it works. So all of that's going to be fine. Knock on damaged plywood. Okay, so our next board, we are up to the MPU. But I've got a cheater MPU too that we can use to see if we can get lamps blinking. We don't have any displays in, but we have these computer-controlled lamps that are dead, right? A couple of those should blink even without the displays and without the playfield. So let me see if I can get I've got an MPU that I've repaired in the past too that we'll use just to test with before we make the MPU that's going to stay in this game. Let me grab it. All right, so I have this board that's been in my case over here for quite a while that somebody with the initials of RL says works 100% June 13th, 2018. I have no idea what game that goes to, but we'll see if that thing wants to start up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It appears to have booted. Now, it's hard to tell if you don't have any lamps in it, but I went ahead and put some displays in it. And the displays are actually working. The flickering you're seeing is an artifact of the camera. Okay, so I've got a test board in it. Again, I don't know what game those ROMs are for, but the displays are all the same on most of the Bally stuff. So it looks like the board's booting. Let's see if we can find a lamp driver board to slide in it and see if we can get the lamps to blink too without the playfield being installed yet. I found this in my stash. We have parts all over the place. You pick up games and they have a couple extra boards with them, or you get a box of stuff from an operator that you're getting some games from or whatever. So I don't know where this came from, but it looks pretty complete. Looks good. So I went and resoldered all of the connections. This is usually the worst part of the lamp driver boards. You get bad connections on these. Nice new solder on all of that. And so we'll try that in the machine and see if it'll make any of the lights light up. All right, so I've got it just temporarily mounted in there. And we don't have the two connectors on the right because those come from the playfield, which isn't in the game. This is the connector that the power and the signals come in on, and this is the connector that lights up the back box. So let's see if it wants to cooperate. So these are computer controlled. That one, that one, that one. It's on free play. Well, wait a minute. I don't know if it's on free play. They're not blinking. Let's see if we can go into test mode. Yeah, there we go. It may be that it's a ROM for an early game which didn't have an attract mode. The first few Bally games didn't have an attract mode. Okay, so the computer-controlled lamps are working. The general illumination is working. The displays are working. Of course, we're going to put LED displays in it. And the MPU, our little test MPU, is working. We don't know what game it's playing. So you know what time it is. It's time to slide the playfield in and see if it will fire the coils. We can go into the test mode and do that. We can't really play it because, again, we don't know what ROMs are in it. We'll have to burn some new ROMs before we do that. But we can go ahead and slide the playfield in and see what happens. All right, we slid the coin door back on it. We slid the playfield back in it. Let's see if we get our lights on the playfield. Got our general illumination. Yep, I saw some computer-controlled lamps. Now, we haven't done anything to the playfield, so half the bulbs are burnt out probably. But, you know, we're just trying to test it and see if, in general, we got a good starting point. This thing was completely parted out. Yeah, that's all of the bulbs that are left. But the back box. Now, I don't know if I mentioned in this video, this is the wrong panel because this is off of a Stingray. So we have to remake that whole panel. But we'll do that. So, yeah. So the computer-controlled lamps, or at least most of them, are working on the playfield. We've got the display one. We're going to do LED displays. Now, here's the one I'm curious about. The solenoids. Let's see if our solenoids are working. Looks like most of them are working. You hear the knocker? There's 2 knockers in this game because of the way it's wired. Listen. So the Bally cabinet has a knocker in the bottom. The same wiring has a knocker in the top on a stern. So they're both hitting. Okay, so this one isn't working, but that's because the wire's disconnected. But, all right, so our next thing we're going to do, we've basically tested everything. So we kind of know that our idea is working here. So what I'm going to do now is we need to make this MPU into a Lost World. But I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm going to save that board because that's our test board. We just use it to make sure everything's working and things. And I like having one that I know works laying around, right? So we're going to save that one. I'll fix another one to put in here, and I'll burn new ROMs for it so that we know that it's a Bally Lost World. I can go ahead and screw down the solenoid driver board because they're all working. And then once we get it up and playing, you know, the lamps are all different on each game, so we don't know what ROMs are on that. But once we get it up and with the Lost World ROMs, we can test all the lamps, finish up the lamp driver board, and go from there. So let me dig around and see if I can find a MPU that I can rebuild. All right, folks. So I have actually, if you watched we did a video a while back where we rebuilt a board for Rodney, and we were able to handle that a different way, send them a different board, because it took me a while to fully test that thing. But, so we'll put that one in this machine. So we've got all of that straightened out. And we've got it up where it's in lamp test. All the lamps that blink, that are computer controlled in the back box, are working fine. But this playfield is destroyed, man. Man, it's destroyed. So what I want to do is go ahead and lift up the playfield and then carefully go through and replace all the light bulbs. And we should get it to where every bulb is working underneath the playfield, which will at least test that lamp driver board, since we're going through and we're doing the boards first. Of course, this playfield is going to need extreme work to it. I don't even know what we're going to do yet because there's Mylar all over the place. We'll probably end up trying to paint around the Mylar. But I don't know. We'll see. First thing we would have to do is clean it. But I'm going to just focus on the lamps right now. Whenever you have a huge project like this, you just got to do things, you know, a little bit at a time. Just do them in order, whatever order you pick. Now, keep in mind that this backboard is from the wrong game because it's from a Sea Witch. So we'll be swapping that out at some point and making a brand new one. But I'm going to lift up the playfield and then slowly go through and clean each light bulb insert and replace each bulb so that we can see if all of them work or if the lamp driver board needs some work. So here's the bottom of the playfield. It actually doesn't look that bad. It's just been sitting around a long time. Who knows when the last time this thing was powered up was. But it appears to be complete. So, like I said, one of the first things we're going to do, we're just going to go through. And by the way, that's kind of the way that you have to do it. You just have to bend the sockets back out. Pull out the bulb, clean in here, and then put a new bulb in. So I just go through carefully, check them as I go. I usually do it with the lights on, blinking, but you got to be careful because if, like for instance, if you did it here and you shorted this light voltage to the switch voltage, it might cause all kinds of issues. So that's what we do, is repair stuff though, so it's not that big of a deal to us. We could fix it, but if you're particularly worried about screwing yours up, you might want to do it with the lights, with the power turned off. All right, I made a list of all of the ones that would not light up after I cleaned the sockets and replaced the bulbs. And almost all of them are on this bottom connector. And if you look at the connector, see those shiny pins? Those are the ones that I have just replaced. And you can see how bad the other ones look. So I pulled one out. Look at that compared to the new one. So that's why the light's not working out. I mean, the light is not lighting up. The electricity will not go through that. So we're going to clean that up and repin it, and we'll see if we can get them all working that way. Really, people go through and replace every pin in the game. I've repinned this one, which is the most important one. You can if you want to take the time to do it, but you kind of need to do them a little at a time just to make sure you don't introduce a whole bunch of problems into the game. If you go through and repin everything before you start, sure enough, you're going to miss 3 or 4 of them and screw it up or something, and then it'll be really hard to track down which ones need repinned or need repaired. So, but I'm going to go through and do this connector and make sure everything stays in the correct place, and then we'll see if that gets our bulbs working. So that seems to have done the trick. Look how horrible this playfield is, though. Oh, my Lord. Now I know what you're thinking. But Ronnie, the back thing is going to be completely different. How do you know that all of the ones work that are going to be on the Lost World? Well, it's because they're all the same. So on any back glass, a Bally or a Stern, you've got the 4 score displays, and then you've got the ball and play display. And then you've got player 1 up, player 2 up, player 3 up, player 4 up. And then you've got 1 can play, 2 can play, 3 can play, 4 can play. And then you've got, this might be game over, and this might be same player shoots again, and this might be free ball. It's all the same stuff, all right? Okay, so we got all of the lamps working. I think that's going to be cool. So think about what we've accomplished here. We got the cabinet art on it looking fantastic. We got the power supply rebuilt. It's completely missing from the machine. Had it on my shelf. I've been saving it for years. I got it back in the machine where it needs to be. Bam! We're parting them back in, baby. Got that done. And then we got a solenoid driver board rebuilt and put back in there. Wham! The thing works great. And then, on top of that, we got the MPU working. I can't believe it. And now we're up to the lamp board even works. I'm almost exhausted. It's so exciting. Okay, so next up is the displays, actually. And so we've got some of the brand new LED displays that we're going to put in it. And then after that, we're going to do a full video on our buddy GTO's Lost World soundboard that he has created from scratch. That's right, the guy's building brand new soundboards for these. Okay, so next up though would be displays. All right, folks, it is display time. So this says Bally Stern 5x 6-digit display kit. This is from Wolfpack Tech. Wolfpack Tech, and we got the red ones for this beautiful Lost World. Let's see what we got in here. Wolfpack Technologies. These are my favorite ones to make. They're also very inexpensive. Comparably. Here is their website, Wolfpack Tech. I paid for these. They did not give them to me. This is not a commercial. I'm just telling you, it's good stuff. When assembled, this display will replace the Bally Stern 6-digit display used on many solid-state pinball machines from 1977 to 1986. Ours is from like 77 or 78 or 79, somewhere in through there. For the complete list of compatible machines, see the list at the end of the instructions. All right, so it's very simple. It shows you right here where everything goes, and you just build the thing. You can download the instructions on their website. We've done about 3 videos on these already. So I'm just going to start making them and show you what I come up with. But I'm going to show you the parts first. So there are 5 little bags of parts. Okay. bag has a couple, well, several connectors and 3 IC chips. And then there are 5 little sets of boards. They're 2-part boards where the displays actually come off of the connector. You can take the front of the display off. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, they're just trying to simulate that L bracket shape of the original display so that it fits right in there, right? It works really well. It's just a cool setup. So we have 5 sets of those because we need 5 displays, 4 for the scores and 1 for the ball in play and credit display. And then here are all the little LED modules. Now these have a little protective piece of plastic over them. You got to peel that off, makes them look better. Okay, but these should light up red. So I'm going to start building one, and I'll show you as I go along. All right, folks, I got the first part of it done. It took about 25 minutes. The connector, the 3 IC chips, the 2 caps, the 2 diodes, the resistor, and then the 2 connectors up there. So far, so good. That one went kind of slow. I'll see if I can speed it up. All right, so that part only took 15 minutes. You got to try to get the little LEDs straight, though. Sometimes they'll kind of, there's a little bit of play in the holes that they mount in. So I'm going to count how many solder joints that is, just so you'll know. All right, that's with the mask on it. It just presses on there, it's like foam. And there are 220 solder joints on each display. So that's basically how long it's going to take you to do it. However long it takes you to do 220 solder joints. So I'm going to pop that one in and see if it works. I'll bet it does, and then we'll build the other 4. All right, folks, so we got them all made. The quickest I could do one was 19 minutes for the whole display. That pulsing you're seeing, your eye can't see, just the camera. So we've got all of the electronics with the exception of the soundboard done. Like I said, we're going to do GTO's soundboard, but we're going to do that last because I want to be able to show off all the sounds that it can make. And we can't play it right now because this playfield's so rough. So you'll have to join us next time when we will work on the playfield. I'm going to have Joe clean it all up, and then we're going to repaint in all of this screwed up paint. It's going to be a heck of a undertaking, but we'll do that. So I think electronically we've got it pretty much doing its thing. Now people, the whole point of this is we're parting them back in. Don't part them out. Joe, should they part them out?
No.
Don't part them out. Part them in. All right? So make sure to watch my brother Donnie's channel on YouTube. It's down here below. The link is below us. We work on arcade games, pinball machines, and jukeboxes. My brother Donnie works on old buildings, old cars, things like that. I'm over there with him a lot. So we will see you on the next video. But hey, if you like these old Bally pinball machines, here's another video you can check out. We'll see you on the next one.